Well, it's been a bone of contention for 20 years. My husband brought this lamp home for me as a gift, and I was really upset because he paid too much money for it. I really thought I could have found other lamps that I'd like better, so I was upset with him.
So how much was too much?
$2,500, which 20 years ago, it's like, oh my goodness. It's kind of grown on me after.
After all these years?
Yeah.
The lamp in question originates from the renowned French sculptor Raoul Larcher, an influential artist of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, whose work embodied the flowing elegance of the Art Nouveau movement. This particular piece is modeled after the celebrated American-born dancer Loie Fuller, famous for her dramatic choreography, swirling gauzy costumes, and innovative use of theatrical lighting. Larcher captured her essence with remarkable sensitivity. The gilt bronze figure glows warmly when lit, while the drapery sweeps around her body in fluid, rhythmic folds that echo Fuller's iconic performances. The lamp carries the foundry mark of Sceaux de Cauville in Paris, one of the premier French foundries of the era, and was originally sold through Fuller's own studio in France. Produced in multiple sizes, the example described in the conversation is the largest and most desirable version, a factor that contributes significantly to its value.
I would say for auction, I would estimate it between $25,000 and $35,000.
Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. I had no idea.
So you have to thank your husband for having a good eye.
I will. Oh, that's amazing. So how much did you say again?
Between $25,000 and $35,000 for auction. Yeah.
These have been in my family for a really long time. My great-great-great-grandfather was Richard Morris Hunt, who was a famous architect who designed the base of the Statue of Liberty, the east wing of the Louvre, and a bunch of the mansions in Newport. And he founded some big architecture school. This is the monument to him that's in Central Park. He's in the middle there, but these are these muses that are on either side of it, and these are the models.
These bronze maquettes were created as preparatory studies for the larger figures that flank the Richard Morris Hunt Memorial in Central Park. Their origin is closely tied to two towering figures in American art and architecture. Richard Morris Hunt, one of the most influential architects of the 19th century, shaped iconic landmarks such as the base of the Statue of Liberty, the east wing of the Louvre, and numerous Newport mansions. To honor his legacy, a memorial was commissioned along Fifth Avenue, where sculptor Daniel Chester French was selected to create its allegorical figures. French, celebrated for designing the seated Abraham Lincoln in the Lincoln Memorial, produced these maquettes in the late 1890s as working models for the 9-foot sculptures installed around 1901. Each bronze bears his initials and date marks, reflecting the careful development process behind the final monument. The figures represent muses' symbolic embodiments of artistic inspiration, and one holds a miniature version of the administration building from the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition, one of Hunt's most famous architectural achievements. As bronze studies, the maquettes served a crucial function, allowing the artist to refine pose, gesture, and symbolic attributes before enlarging them to monumental scale. Their crisp detailing, balanced composition, and historical associations highlight French's mastery, as well as the collaborative spirit between two great creators who helped define the visual identity of modern America.
In talking with some of my colleagues, our sense is that if you had to put a value for auction on them, probably looking somewhere for the pair in the $20,000 to $30,000 range.
Wow, yes, that's very good.
Was my grandparents. It was in their house here in Baton Rouge. And as a child, I just was infatuated with this piece.
And any idea where your grandparents got it? Did they
I have
travel?
no clue. It looks Russian.
It looks Russian. So the question always is, how does this Russian thing wind up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana? And that's part of the fun of doing the roadshow, because anything can show up anywhere that we go to.
Right.
And it is signed in Russian right over here. And it's actually signed by the most famous Russian sculptor of the 19th century.
Wow.
His name was Eugene Lanceray.
This 19th century bronze is the work of Evgeny Alexandrovich Lansaret, one of Imperial Russia's foremost sculptors. Born in St. Petersburg in 1848 and later spending formative years in Paris, Lansaret combined rigorous academic training with the expressive sensibilities he absorbed abroad, producing genre scenes that captured both the texture of everyday life and the dramatic motion of animal and equestrian subjects. Signed in Cyrillic and dated 1873, the sculpture also carries the mark of the Chopin Foundry in St. Petersburg, confirming it as an original period cast from the artist's peak production. It represents a troika, the quintessential Russian three-horse sleigh, frozen at the instant of powerful departure. Lansaret's skill is evident in the way each horse is individually characterized. Taut muscles, varied facial expressions, and the sense that the trio is responding differently to the same impulse. The human figures are rendered with equal naturalism, their gestures and postures contributing to a coherent narrative of movement and control.
A retail price for this in a gallery would probably be about $15,000.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think that. Wow.
I bought it from friends that were in the antique business when they liquidated their business. This was back in the Boston area in about '76.
Oh, what did you pay for it at the time?
$2,400.
It was a lot of money.
I liked him.
So were you a collector, or was it something that struck your eye? Or?
No, he just struck my eye, and I had to have him when they offered him to me. Yeah.
So you don't know much about the artist, or?
I just know that he's French.
The bronze statuette in question was created by the French sculptor René de Saint-Marceau, a prominent artist of the late 19th century known for both his monumental public commissions and his smaller, more commercially successful pieces depicting portraits, animals, and theatrical figures. This particular work portrays a Harlequin, a character from the Commedia dell'arte tradition instantly recognizable by its expressive mask, lively posture, and confident stance. The figure stands on a base crafted to resemble a wooden floor, giving it the atmosphere of a real stage and enhancing its dramatic presence. The sculpture is signed Street Marceau, 1879, and bears the mark of the renowned Barbedienne Foundry, one of Paris's most respected bronze foundries. A reduction stamp indicates that this is a scaled-down version of a larger original sculpture. The bronze is exquisitely cast, with delicate modeling visible in the folds of the costume, the tilt of the head, and the spirited tension of the pose. Each detail contributes to a sense of movement and character, demonstrating Saint-Marceau's mastery of bronze casting and his ability to blend classical technique with expressive artistry. Altogether, this piece is a refined example of 19th century French bronze work, elegant, theatrical, and full of personality.
Based on its size, the fact that it's the largest scale, I think that price was undervalued. I'd say in today's market at auction, probably in the $15,000 to $20,000 range.
You're kidding.
No, it's a,
What a wonderful surprise.
Yeah. This is a wonderful piece.
I can't believe it.
I acquired it from an estate auction in a little town in Jerome, Idaho. It was a couple's estate, and he had been raised in China. It was one of those auctions that you wish you could go back and do all over. They had such wonderful things. There were other beautiful things as well as her, and they sold before I could even bid on them, so I hurried and bid on her.
The bronze figure discussed is a refined representation of Guanyin, the Buddhist goddess of mercy, crafted with exceptional attention to detail and enhanced with delicate silver inlay across her robes. The sculpture is signed Yu Tong Shorsu, a late Ming period monk known for promoting the casting of devotional Buddhist imagery, particularly guanyin figures. In this piece, Guanyin is depicted in the classic royal ease pose, resting gracefully on a rockwork base. She holds a scroll in one hand, a symbol of divine wisdom, while a kalasha, ritual vase, rests beside her, both attributes closely tied to her role as a compassionate guide. Her serene face, soft contours, and finely shaped features reflect stylistic elements typical of 17th of 18th century Chinese devotional bronzes. Although bronzes of this style were reproduced up until the late 19th century, the craftsmanship, balance, and patina of this figure suggest an 18th century origin, placing it firmly within the mature period of the tradition. The harmonious interplay of bronze and silver enhances the sculpture's sacred aura, making it not only a religious object but also a work of artistry valued for its technical refinement.
Now it would be worth somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000.
My
At
goodness.
auction.
Oh my
So
goodness.
if it went up for auction
15 to
today,
20.
right?
Wow.
What did you pay for it at this auction?
I paid $350.
You did extremely well.
Right. I think so too, and I'm sure happy.
A friend of mine gave it to me. I had admired it. I think he bought it at an antique show at some time, and I think he paid around a couple hundred, but I'm not sure.
What a great friend. I have to get some friends like that. You know who the artist is? Who is
I
it?
looked up on the internet, and it's some woman artist.
With a very complicated name.
Right.
Her name is Abyssinia St. Leger Eberly.
Abyssinia Street Leger Eberle was an American sculptor born in the Midwest who built her career in New York City during the early 20th century. Trained among significant artistic circles and briefly working alongside noted sculptor Anna Hyatt Huntington, she quickly emerged as a forceful artistic voice. Eberle became nationally recognized after exhibiting The White Slave at the groundbreaking 1913 Armory Show, an exhibition that introduced modern European art to the United States. The work's bold commentary on prostitution stirred controversy and cemented her place among the socially conscious artists of her era. Her artistic focus soon turned to the lives of immigrants and working-class families on New York's Lower East Side. The sculpture in question reflects this humanistic direction, a tender depiction of a mother and child rendered with warmth, emotional resonance, and exceptional craftsmanship. The expressive gesture, the gentle posture of the figures, all reveal Eberle's sensitivity to everyday humanity. The piece is signed with her distinctive monogram, A. S. T. L. Eberle, and dated 1919, a period considered the height of her artistic maturity. Beneath the signature appears the mark of the Zoppo foundry in New York City, indicating a high-quality bronze casting. Because Eberle produced relatively few sculptures, her career was cut short by health problems. Surviving works are considered rare.
I would think in a retail setting, this piece is probably around $15,000.
Wow. I didn't think it was worth that much.
I was out shopping around looking for some stuff to put in my garage in the man cave and was leaving a secondhand store, a thrift store about a half mile from my house. I saw it was bronze, and so I figured that it was probably had some sort of value, so I bought it without recognizing the artist or knowing anything about it, really.
And you did a little bit of research,
Yeah.
so the artist is Gutzon Borglum, the sculptor of Mount Rushmore. He's one of the more prolific American sculptors of the earlier part of the 20th century.
The sculpture is the work of Gutzon Borglum, the American sculptor best known for carving the monumental presidential faces on Mount Rushmore. Born in 1867, Borglum studied art in Paris, where he absorbed the influence of European masters before returning to New York and establishing a career creating expressive bronze works for public and institutional settings. The bronze piece in question portrays a classical-inspired figure, an uncommon subject for American sculptors of his era, blending traditional European themes with Borglum's characteristic sense of dynamic realism. The foundry mark on the back identifies Roman bronze works, the leading American art foundry of its time, indicating that the sculpture was cast professionally using the refined lost wax method. Despite patches of green oxidation now visible on the surface, a natural effect of aging bronze, the expressive modeling and overall sculptural strength remain intact. Its posture and proportions illustrate Borglum's distinctive combination of classical form and early 20th century American monumentality. Viewed today, the work stands as a compelling example of early modern American bronze sculpture, historically significant and artistically resonant.
I think in a gallery setting, this would probably be in the $6,000 to $8,000 price range.
Right? That's wonderful. Not a bad return.
Not a bad return.
Well, this bronze that I brought in belonged to an uncle of mine that got it from Henry Fernie. Henry Fernie needed money and borrowed from my uncle, and in exchange gave him some paintings, this bronze, a rifle, another sculpture thing, and we ended up with it through the estate.
Well, Varney, the Western painter, and Solon Borglum, who did the sculpture, were both artists represented at the Cincinnati Art Museum.
Yes.
They have a really rich local history.
This bronze sculpture, titled Horse Grazing, was created by Solon Borglum, a notable American sculptor whose life and artistic vision were deeply shaped by the culture of the American frontier. Born to Danish immigrant parents, Borglum spent his early years in western regions, such as Nebraska, before moving to Cincinnati to study art. At the time, Cincinnati was an active artistic center, and the city played a significant role in forming his early training. He later continued his studies in Paris and New York, eventually earning recognition for works that captured the expressive, rugged spirit of frontier life, a thematic direction shared with his brother, Gutzon Borglum, the sculptor of Mount Rushmore. In Horse Grazing, Solon Borglum demonstrates his ability to convey movement, fatigue, and quiet strength through naturalistic modeling. The horse's lowered head and tired posture reflect a moment drawn from real frontier experience, showing his intimate understanding of working animals and open landscapes. The sculpture bears Borglum's signature along with the foundry mark of Roman bronze works in New York, one of the most important American art foundries of the early 20th century, renowned for producing high-quality lost wax bronze casts.
I think in today's market, a very desirable piece for auction. If I were to place an estimate on it, I would say between $20,000 and $30,000.
That's amazing, because through the estate, I only paid $2,000.
Wow, well.
And shortly after I got it, our house was broken into. They took several different things, this being one of them, which they dropped in the front yard.
Wow. It's in great condition. Despite its tumble on the lawn, it's the surface is in good condition, the patina's nice.
We bought it in Scottsdale, Arizona in 1965 from an antique shop. My husband worked next door to this antique shop, and we just window shopped every day, and finally went in and asked him if he'd take payments on it. And he did. I just loved it. I love the violence of it in a way.
The piece you have is by Christophe Fratin, who's a very well-known French artist of his day. He worked in the middle part of the 19th century.
Fratin belonged to the Animalier school, a movement formed by artists who specialized in portraying animals with vivid realism, dynamic movement, and emotional intensity. This approach was immensely popular in France during that era, as audiences were fascinated by scenes of wildlife captured in moments of tension, struggle, or raw natural power. Created around the 1850s, the sculpture exemplifies Fratin's mastery of anatomical accuracy and dramatic composition. It was cast using the French sand casting technique, in which individual components were molded separately and then assembled, a method commonly used before the widespread adoption of lost wax casting. Evidence of this technique remains visible on the underside, where separately cast elements meet the base. Made of bronze with a clear signature, the sculpture shows refined 19th century French craftsmanship. Its detailed form, original patina, and sense of movement highlight Fratin's skill and the Animalier style he was known for.
It's just not popular today among collectors. However, it's still a desirable piece, and it's probably worth around $10,000 in a shop.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
I found them at a thrift store, and I was actually looking for a present for my wife. And I came across these, and I said, whoa, these will make a nice present for her.
You know who the artist is? They're signed, so that's pretty clear. It's Bessie Potter Vonnoh, and she was one of America's leading sculptors. She was born in the 19th century and lived till the middle of the 20th century.
The sculptures discovered at a thrift store turn out to be original works by Bessie Potter Vonnoh, one of America's most distinguished sculptors of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Born in 1872, she rose to prominence for her sensitive portrayals of women and children, a rare focus in a field traditionally dominated by heroic or political subjects. Her pieces from the 1900s to the 1930s often captured everyday domestic moments, such as the tender bond between mother and child or the innocent curiosity of a crawling infant. These bronzes exhibit the hallmarks of her craftsmanship: finely modeled details, graceful composition, and expressive gestures that feel alive and immediate. Their significance is heightened by the fact that the market is filled with unauthorized, later castings, recasts, made from molds of original works which lack both artistic and monetary value. The pieces in this case, however, are confirmed authentic lifetime castings, making them especially desirable to collectors.
This one, the mother and child, recently sold at auction for $4,500.
Wow, that's great.
So an auction estimate on this would be between $4,000 and $6,000.
Okay.
This is a lovely little piece also. At auction, we'd probably put an estimate of between $5,000 and $7,000.
Wow. A little bit more than the other one, huh?
Yeah. This is a bit rarer, this model.
Oh, okay.
My mother purchased it at an auction many, many years ago for $5.
For $5? She was some sport, huh?
She had an eye for things.
And did she talk about it?
No.
Do you remember it as a child?
Oh,
seeing
sure.
it?
But I don't think she ever knew anything about it, and I didn't think much about it.
But you looked it up. I mean, you see it signed on it, and you know who the artist is.
I'm thinking Augustus St. Gaudens.
Yes.
This finely crafted bronze study originates from Augustus St. Gaudens, 1848 to 1907, one of America's most celebrated sculptors of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Renowned for his monumental public works, including the Shaw Memorial in Boston, the Farragut Monument in New York, and the Lincoln statue in Chicago, St. Gaudens also left an indelible mark on American numismatic history as the designer of the iconic $20 gold coin. The piece represents Diana of the Tower, a small-scale study of the monumental figure St. Gaudens, created in the 1890s as a weather vane for the original Madison Square Garden. The full sculpture, depicting Diana poised gracefully atop a ball, once rose 18 feet high in copper before being reworked into a 13-foot version that briefly became the tallest structure in New York City. Although the original tower figure no longer survives atop the building demolished long ago, it is now preserved in the Philadelphia Museum of Art. This smaller bronze study captures the elegance and vitality of Diana with remarkable subtlety, finely modeled details, a harmonious sense of movement, and a rich, untouched patina that speaks to its age and authenticity. Signed with St. Gaudens' monogram and inscription on the reverse, the piece reflects both artistic refinement and historical significance.
It's in great shape. In a gallery at retail, this would be about $10,000, $12,000.
Oh, wow. For $5 investment, that's fabulous.
Pretty good.
She would be happy. And I
Good,
thank you
good.
very much, Mike. She would be very pleased.
I found them at a yard sale, and it probably was about 20 years ago. I kind of remember it pretty well because I bought about 3 sets of bookends and a number of other things.
And how much did you pay for them?
Like all yard sales, there's 2 things I look for, something I like and something that has the right price point, so it was probably about $3 to $5.
$3 to $5?
Yeah.
The pair of bookends traces its origin to the celebrated American sculptor Harriet Frishmuth, an artist whose century-long life, 1880 to 1980, spanned the evolution of American figurative art. Trained in Paris under Auguste Rodin and later in New York with Gutzon Borglum, she developed a refined mastery of dynamic human forms, especially dancers and active figures. The bookends described in the conversation are boldly signed and dated 1912, reflecting an early and highly sought-after period of her career. Their exceptional quality is further confirmed by the casting mark of the Gorham Foundry, the most prestigious American foundry of the era, known for meticulous records and limited production runs. Numbered examples such as these not only offer artistic value but also rarity, which strongly enhances their desirability.
In terms of the value, in a gallery setting, these would be about $10,000.
Awesome! Whoa! More than I paid for them.
A little bit more.
It's a pretty powerful image. What drew you to this bronze?
I like Russian items. Doesn't matter what it is. Silver, glass, anything what's Russian. I think they have the best artists, really.
No, it's beautifully done.
Yes.
How long have you had it?
I bought it in 1975. A little ways from my workplace, a very small town in Germany, near Stuttgart.
The bronze sculpture centers on the dynamic image of a Russian cossack, created by the elusive artist Evgeny Naps, one of several sculptors active in late 19th century Russia, who specialized in portraying energetic equestrian scenes, hunting subjects, and depictions of troikas. Although little biographical information about Naps survives, his work aligns with a recognized school of Russian bronze sculpture known for its expressive movement, detailed modeling, and vigorous storytelling. Cast at the Warfel Foundry in St. Petersburg, a workshop associated with many artists of the period, the piece likely dates from the 1870s to the 1890s. The foundry was renowned for producing finely executed bronzes before later being absorbed by Fabergé, a change that ended its outside commissions. The sculpture's sharply rendered details, from the tension in the horse's posture to the intensity in the rider's expression, reflect the naturalistic style that made Russian bronzes so distinctive in European art markets.
Did you pay a lot for it at the time?
I paid $270.
Certainly was a good purchase. I would say for auction, I would expect an estimate between $8,000 and $10,000.
It was not a bad buy.
Yes.
My grandmother, after my grandfather died, she bought a house in Manhattan Heights here. And when she bought it, it was fully furnished and all the artwork and everything was in it. I think she bought it right after the war, 45, something like that.
So what brought you to bring this in today?
Well, actually, I had a friend who had an extra ticket and he called me up at 10 o'clock and said, bring something, so that's what I grabbed.
This bronze sculpture traces its origins to Charles Raphael Péret, 1872 to 1949, a French artist who worked during the vibrant creative era at the turn of the 20th century. Péret was active in the Paris salons, earned recognition in various competitions, and became respected for his refined academic style. His works often revisited classical themes, bringing mythological figures to life with elegance and movement. The sculpture depicts the three Graces, daughters of Zeus who symbolize beauty, charm, and joy. Péret captures them in an animated and harmonious composition, enhanced by a rich verdigris patina that gives the bronze its characteristic green tone. The piece bears the signature Charles Raphael Péret, Paris, France, on the front, and the foundry mark on the side confirms that it was created using the lost wax casting method, a technique known for preserving fine details.
For insurance purposes, you want to look at a figure in the $9,000 range. So it's a nice work by a well-regarded French sculptor and great to see.
Wow, that's great.
I buy houses. It's a business of mine, and 10 or 11 years ago, one of the first houses we bought, this happened to be amongst a bunch of junk in a house that was kind of a hoarder's type of situation. And we found them in the basement, buried under a pile of trash.
Any sense of how a piece like this ended up in the basement of a house?
I believe that this was given to the owner of that house who had passed away. He was a president of a community council, and this had sat on top of a pedestal that was a World War II monument.
This carved wooden sculpture, made from laminated wood, is believed to date from the late 19th century, around the 1880s. It was originally created for public display, most likely as part of a civic or commemorative monument. Its scale, posture, and commanding presence all reflect the visual language of public sculpture, intended to be viewed from a distance. As a work rooted in American folk-style monumental carving, the sculpture shows less emphasis on academic precision and more on bold outlines, expressive form, and straightforward craftsmanship. Though the detailing is not intricate, the overall silhouette carries dignity and strength, qualities well suited for a figure meant to serve as a public emblem. The surface was once finished with a verdigris-colored coating, a greenish paint designed to imitate aged bronze, a common 19th century practice when wood was used instead of metal in order to reduce production cost. When elevated on a pedestal, this finish would allow the sculpture to resemble a bronze monument, preserving the desired visual impact.
I would say at auction, maybe $5,000 to $7,000.
Okay.
In the late 70s, my wife and I went to an auction in Basingstoke, England, and we bid on it, and as I recall, that was her birthday gift to me.
That's nice. Nice. You remember what you paid for it?
Just a couple £100, which would be $400 or $500 in today's money.
The bronze figure described originates from the hand of Seraphin Denéchau, a French sculptor active in the mid-19th century. Though little known today, Denéchau trained under prominent artists of his era and contributed to major public commissions, including work on the Louvre and the Paris Opera. His sculptural style often reflected the refined elegance and soft naturalism that would later influence the emerging Art Nouveau movement. Created likely in the 1890s, the sculpture bears the subtle aesthetic cues of that period, most notably in the gentle, elongated features of the face. Crafted from bronze, it demonstrates the meticulous casting practices of the time. A visible seam along the side reveals that the figure was cast in separate sections and joined using a tapered pin system, a traditional method that allowed for precise alignment without the need for welding or soldering. This construction detail, along with the crisp signature on the side, highlights the work's authenticity and period craftsmanship.
The piece you have here in a retail setting would probably be in the $5,000 range.
Oh, okay.
There's one that's 31 inches high that brings about $15,000. Oh. And there was one in marble that brought $45,000.
Wow. Well, that's good.